to have this building just sitting here derelict, really in danger of probably, if something wasn't done quickly, of it having to be torn down.
They realized that the building was in danger of being beyond repair.
The courthouse sitting up here on this hill is the landmark, the predominant. When people think of Jackson County or Silva, they say, oh, that's where you had that beautiful white courthouse on the hill. And here that building was empty.
If something happened to that courthouse, the entire community, and when I say community, I don't mean Main Street Silva. I mean all of Jackson County would go into mourning. The library had actually been trying to expand since 1982. They started running out of space. First they tried to expand the building. That failed. So then they started looking for another site to build a new library. There had been some suggestions, including using the courthouse. And it could not be used because the walls inside are load-bearing and books per square foot are extremely heavy. A couple of the commissioners, county commissioners, came and said, can we look one more time at the courthouse site? And the question was, would there be enough land to build an addition?
The idea was that if we could put the new library behind the old courthouse, then we could actually have a new use for the old courthouse because it didn't have a good use at the time.
Donnie did actually more than one conceptual design for combining the two buildings into one without making it look like there was a new building just stuck on an old building.
The major steps that we took initially were just to get a layout for the new facility that was a functional layout and a layout that met the needs of the people that were going to be using the building.
So when the commissioners first came up with the concept of marrying the restoration of the historic courthouse to the need for a much, much larger library, I thought, this would be a very, very exciting opportunity to be involved in. And so it just sort of seemed it might be a natural role for me to be very, very involved in helping to raise the funds to make this project a reality.
And if you could see the fundraising charts, we got some wonderful large grants from various places. But if you had a round chart, 2/3 of it is the community contributions, which ranged from small children coming and putting their allowance in donation jars to people writing sizable checks for naming opportunities.
People dug as deep as they could in their pockets. So that we had hoped that the fundraising would last about a year. It lasted 2 years. But at the end of the day, we raised $200,000 more than we were asked.
Even though the site was a challenge to make the library part fit on top of the hill there, but I think that it worked out terrifically, and once I think that was determined, the community got right behind it.
But despite all that, we, I think, had put together, we planned very, very carefully. We'd put together a lot of strategies about approaching people, of talking to people, to keep people informed, to remind them of how important it was to save the courthouse, to breathe new life into that building, and to make it part of one of our most beloved institutions, a public library.
Once we had a site that we knew that we could work with and a layout for the new building that we knew that we could work with, then it was just a matter of putting it all together and getting it ready to build.
The day that I realized that they had laid the foundation, I drive up here once in a while, was actually a thrill, because all of a sudden you could start seeing the basic shape of the building.
We felt like that the new building needed to look as much like the original building as we could. We wanted to try to blend the two things and use the same architectural language while not copying it directly.
I suddenly noticed how seamless the library building seemed to flow into the old courthouse. You can literally walk into the atrium in the foyer area of in between the courthouse and the library, and you can't really tell that they were not built at the same time. They blend so perfectly. It would have been perfect if it had been a castle too. You know, it had that romantic charm, and I think it just draws people. They want to go see, oh, what is that?
And I do really feel this building is a destination for a number of reasons, the historic importance of the courthouse as well as the library.
Dr. Bunn that I mentioned that was the co-chair for the steering committee and the fundraising, he said, you're not going to be remembered for building the new library. You're going to be remembered for saving the courthouse.